Coming up on Look Today, well, Lake George officials have officially passed a resolution banning Log Bay Day. I've got details. Plus, the House of Representatives passed legislation introduced by our own Congresswoman Elise Stefanik. More on that coming up. And we've got updates on the annual White Party Fundraiser benefits Saratoga Bridges. It's all ahead on Look Today. Welcome everyone, I'm Jay Hood Jackson and this is Look Today. Well, tonight's program, I sit down with Congresswoman Elise Stefanik. She represents 21st District and he's here to talk about a number of issues she has addressed in her first 6 months. It's part 3 of my interview with her. Plus, I also sit down with Anki Mayweisen. Now, she's a teacher in the science department at Boston Spa School District, and she's here to talk about her educational experience at Space Camp. Plus, we've got your weather for the Tri-North counties, but first, these headline stories. Well, in our lead story, today marks 1-year anniversary of the tragic accident that killed 8-year-old Charlotte McHugh on Lake George. The tragedy occurred during the annual Log Bay Day event. Now, the Lake George Park Commission has officially passed a resolution banning Log Bay Day. Last year, shortly after that tragedy occurred, many did sign a petition calling for an end to the annual party. We spoke to Mayor Bob Blaze, Lake George, about his thoughts in regard to Log Bay Day.
It just isn't an event that should occur in Lake George, where we boast about being America's family playground.
Well, there's obviously a lot more that we can say about this, and we will. We're talking to Dave Wicks tomorrow, and we also have footage of the meeting in Hague where they banned Log Bay Day. And I'll also have a comment at the end of the program. In other news, we got updates regarding our ongoing discussion with Congresswoman Elise Stefanik. Now, yesterday, the House of Representatives passed legislation introduced by her called the Military Residency Choice Act. Now, this will allow military spouses to establish the same state of residency as a service member. Now, this will ease the burden on service members' spouses in regard to taxes and voting issues. Well, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik spoke on the House floor.
Military spouses serve too, and this bill eliminates the daunting task of documenting multiple tax jurisdictions and helps reduces instances of military spousal unemployment. Traveling across the North Country in New York, I have listened to the sacrifices our military families make to keep our nation safe. We have a duty to reduce these burdens they face. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I urge my colleagues again to support this bill on a bipartisan basis.
Now, I sit down with Congresswoman later on in the show for part 3 of my interview with her that I conducted late last week. All right, switching from news to weather. Today saw overcast skies with rain. Tomorrow, expect to clear, believe it or not, high in the 80s. That's a welcome sign. Let's see how the rest of the week is shaping up. For a more detailed look at our weather, let's head to the Glens Falls Weather Center for a look at your first forecast.
Thanks, Jesse. I'm meteorologist Clarence Sponsor with your first look weather outlook. Right now, we have high pressure in multiple areas. We'll start the one towards the Gulf of Mexico. Rain, relatively a traditional southern pattern continuing for the southeast coast. We'll see a warm front boundary making its way through parts of the mid-south and into the Midwest. Cold front boundary just off the mid-Atlantic seaboard and off the east coast as well, as this bubble of high pressure continues to be in control for much of the Great Lakes and towards the northeast. So a beautiful but relatively cool night. We're seeing lows as low as 52 in Buffalo and Burlington, 50 for Albany, 55 in Boston. And as you look towards our viewing area, about mid-50s, Greenwich 55, Whitehall 54, Glens Falls will see a low of 54, and even towards elevation we'll see low temperatures in the mid to upper 40s. We'll see some patchy fog late. We've been under mostly cloudy skies for the majority of the evening, but they should clear out in the overnight hours and a calm breeze. We'll see sunshine, 79, not a cloud in the sky on Wednesday. Out the door forecast will be somewhat cool, mostly sunny with temperatures in the upper 50s through lower 60s through the 8 a.m. hour. And as we head through our extended forecast, enjoy Wednesday while you can. 60% chance of storms on Thursday, 50% chance of rain showers on Friday, highs in the mid 70s, and We'll see highs back in the mid to upper 70s for the weekend, but the sunshine will return. Low temperatures mainly in the mid 50s as well on Saturday and Sunday. That's a look at our first look weather forecast. I'm meteorologist Clarence Ponser. Now I'll send it back to you, Jesse.
Thanks, Clarence. Well, it looks like tomorrow's going to be nice. A couple of days of rain, but it does look like the weekend at this point is going to be okay. All right, back to the news. Well, we got updates. Saratoga Bridges White Party, which was held this past Saturday at Saratoga National Golf Course. Well, guess what? Close to $113,000 was raised at the gala with over 650 people in attendance. Well, now, as you know, all the proceeds of the fundraiser go to benefit this important organization, Saratoga Bridges. We spoke to Heather Varney. She's Development and Foundation Director for Saratoga Bridges.
Amazing community that we have and that we live in, as you guys know, and we couldn't be happier. So thank you to everyone. It was a wonderful night.
Congratulations. Up next, I sit down with Congresswoman Elise Stefanik. Now, she represents our 21st Congressional District. She's here to talk about a number of issues she has addressed in her first 6 months, and in part 3, she also talks about what it's like to be in Washington. This is part 3 of my interview with her. Plus, I also sit down with Anki Maywiesen. Now, she's a teacher in the science department at the Ballston Spa School District, in the Ballston Spa School District. She's here to talk about her educational experience at Space Camp. This is a real fun interview. But first, if you've seen who's happening, you want to share a story idea, how about join us for an interview? Then give us a call on the hotline. The number is 798-8000. Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of Look Today. I really only have one look out tonight. Today, unfortunately, is the 1-year anniversary of the death of Charlotte McHugh. And that's an event and a tragedy that touched so many people in our community. And I just want to recognize all the organizations and people involved with the recent resolution that bans Log Bay Day. It took some courage, it took a lot of coordination. And as I mentioned earlier in the program, tomorrow night we'll have more information about this. But I definitely want to honor Charlotte McHugh and her family and close with a reminder of the consequences of operating a watercraft while under the influence. As many of you know, we are involved with a campaign for boat safety, watercraft safety, called Remember Charlotte. So I think in tribute to her, we would like to end tonight's program with that video. Good night, everyone.